Thank you,
Yes.
gentlemen, for joining us on the show today. Venu, if I could start with you, the decision to kill all work chats post 6 p.m. and entirely through weekends, how did the management arrive at that?
Yeah, so Ramako, it's been over a year since we started working from home. And just before the second wave of pandemic hit us, we got a lot of questions from our employees wanting to know what the future of work from home would be, whether they'd be required to come to the office or whether they could continue to work from home, so that's when we decided we'll do a survey, get opinions from people. We collated data, we took their feedback, after which we took a few key decisions, one of which was to announce a permanent work from home. Now, with permanent work from home, what happens is the lines between your personal space and your workspace get blurred, right? And that resulted in employees feeling that they are overworking, not necessarily being productive at the same time. So to address that issue, what we said was we're not going to let employees ping other employees and get too intrusive into their personal space. So we said we'll stop chats after 6 p.m. Employees who are reporting to managers felt more obligated to respond. If you don't respond to a manager, things could go a little awry. So there was an obligation on their part. So we said we let people enjoy their personal space. So we said we're going to kill chats post 6 p.m. Because it was not business changing chats that were happening late in the evening. Things could wait. So we said no chats after 6 p.m. and no chats over the weekend.
I was actually thinking whether it was perhaps a tad easier to make the decision given that stock markets don't operate over the weekends and in the evenings.
You can't. So the nature of the business is that your queries don't line up only during the market hours, right? So there are clients who raise queries. There's so many things. A very niche business. So there are so many kind of questions that come to us, and it's not limited to the times the markets operate. So we do have clients who call us up post market hours as well. So it becomes necessary to stay connected post market as well.
Hanan, if I could come to you, I want to get a sense from you. What's the feedback from employees across the board been like to this decision?
Well, in short, they love it. They love this whole decision of stopping conversations after 6 p.m. And I mean the reason this decision was taken, like Venu explained, it's mostly because stuff could wait or stuff could get done earlier. There's no necessity to just message someone and let them know that you're doing. And what was happening is these conversations were going on for much longer than they could have. And this was and you have to be alert at all times to respond to queries which might come online at any time. And you can't have an off moment because you're visible and you're online. And putting them on a clock makes it much easier for us to extract more out of them at that time, from us also, because I know for a fact now that after a certain time, like generally I would just ping anybody at any time, but now I don't. I actually hold myself back. Like yesterday I wanted to get something done, and it's just one message for me. All I have to do is ping this person and tell this person that what, this needs to be done, why don't we just talk about it now? And it would have taken me 5 minutes. But considering the fact that I am a person who forgets, and it depends on each level you're in the organization. So for us, they have to fear whether they like it or not. They have to, and the kind of atmosphere which exists, they might be compelled to respond to me, and I might not know about it. And so I held myself back actually, and I said, why don't we talk about this tomorrow at this time? And that's it. The person didn't have to respond, but the person did respond, and we closed it at that. And I think it's working out quite well for us, and they like it, we like it, so it's a win-win for. And in fact, I think we'll be able to give more by doing this.
How difficult was the urge to not message when you said that you tend to forget? And I'm sure there would have been pressure in your head that, oh, why don't I just make this one exception?
Exactly. So I type everything down so that I don't forget it, and I spit it out on the other side, and I say, let's not talk about this now. Let's save this for tomorrow. And so that way, either I'm jotting it down on a chat window, or one of my organizers, so that I remember to do this at this time, and there are no overlaps. So that's the main reason. But yes, I'm doing this. It's an effort on my part to try not to talk to people when I feel like talking.
Hanan, I also believe you all did an internal survey recently and found out that more than 85% were liking work from home, and over 49% said they wanted to work from home permanently. Did this come as a surprise at all, given that some employees, not in your organization, feel that it's actually more exhausting working from home?
I personally did not expect such a large percentage, like 85%, like said they liked it, and 49% said they don't mind continuing working permanently from home. And these are men also, these are not just women. Like, imagine being stuck at home with your wife, knowing that you might have to make yourself available for her for some kind of home related work, when you can actually be saying that I'm busy at work. Even those people have chosen to say I will work from home. So I
I
think
think
it works out
it works the
at
other way
all.
around as well.
Yeah. So it kind of works always. People are quite happy to be at home and deal with whatever else they have to deal at home, and also get that. The most important thing, I think, is the control that one gets when they work from home. You feel and I feel that I manage my time. I don't know if I really am or not, but you get the sense of control on your time, on your effort, on what you have to deliver, and you can pace yourself based on what works for you. I might want to I might want to shower a little later in the day, or I might want to exercise a little later in the day, or push my breakfast for a little earlier or a little later, have my coffee while I'm talking to someone. These are all small little things which I can do while I'm at work, while I'm at home. May not be possible otherwise. So that's one of the main reasons why people have liked it. Another reason why people have really liked work from home is, I personally think, it's got to do with the fact that more and more businesses, interactions, everything is moving online, and it gives people this ability to multitask on a personal level. So on the one side, you have your work to do, which you will do, which you will these are task based, or as you might get a call from a customer, as in, like, people who report to me, they have to talk to customers, and either by email or by phone calls. And when they do that talking, they have dedicated that much time or that much bandwidth to discuss that situation. As soon as that is done, they could do something else which could fit into their own deliverables at a personal level, which wouldn't be possible at a workplace for them, because of various kind of social mores that exist. And so that has changed. So that's one of the reasons why people have preferred it, and getting to spend more time with families. And I think most of the people at Zerodha, even though they're young, are staying with their families. They're enjoying it. Otherwise, while they were in Bangalore, they had to stay in these PGs, which was a big concept a year ago. Everybody would have a PG accommodation in which you stay. You pay a certain amount of money. You get to eat that food, which is okay, and you get to you had a certain lifestyle. But now you're staying in a more spread out place in your village or in your town. You have people who you love near you, and your work is just on your computer. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are loving it, and it will continue. Yes.
Hanan, the sense I get is flexibility, freedom, and the ability to spend more time with family, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to get to productivity. Some recent studies seem to suggest that remote working makes people more productive. But then there are other schools of thoughts also, obviously. I know what Zerodha's take on this is, but I'd like you to talk about some of the key reasons behind your bullishness, and about what kind of productivity you have seen, and just your experience so far through the past year.
I'll be really, really honest with you. In terms of the business, I think, well, in 2019 or 2018, my family decided to move to Spain because my wife is from Spain, French Spanish. So she decided to come back here. She was like, you know what, I want to go back to Spain and I want to do this. And I had to come here and work from here and manage what I have to manage, which was in Bangalore. And this was way before COVID happened. And I was going through a certain kind of a problem wherein I was able to execute everything that I have to execute in my capacity remotely sitting in Spain. But the sense of, being that I'm at work, I'm working, that sense was not coming through. And I got the feeling that a lot of other people felt I had it very easy. Whereas I was getting up earlier in the morning. I was sleeping later in the night. I had so many other conversations which I had to catch up with. So there was a lot of stuff which I had to do more to get myself, organized to do work from home. And we felt that the entire business was already tuned to working online. Everything in the business. So we were ready for work from home. So why are we bullish about it? Because I've already done this. Like they realized, like Venu, Nitin, and all of them realized that, okay, this guy is not important to be in the office. It makes no difference if he's in the office, if he's not in the office. There are certain things that he has to do. As long as he's doing them, it's fine. And the business works, communications are going through. There are small changes which we have to make, and it's worked for us. So and the business was already ready. It was not like suddenly we had to design something where our people have to work from home or some new systems. I think at the time of COVID becoming a concern, which was in 2020 March, there was a big decision which had to be taken. Nitin took this decision, which I was not really in favor of, because I didn't have the foresight or the vision to think that COVID could become a big problem. And we immediately invested in laptops for everyone. Everybody on at any level in the business had to get a laptop, because everything else was there already. Our entire system, our tech team had designed it in such a way that people could work from home. It was just about taking the decision of whether we should or not. And that decision was taken by Nitin, and we were ready. And that's why we're bullish. Everything can work remotely. There's no necessity.
In a way, you were the pilot run.
Yeah, I guess so.
Venu, I want to come to you, and I understand that Zerodha is in the process of transitioning into a permanent work from home model for as many employees as possible. And you all are big believers in people being able to move out of the big cities. And Nitin's also talked about how that can actually help India's growth. I want you to talk about this a little and also give us a sense of what kind of ratio you're likely to have going forward in office and at home.
Today, we're a 1,000-member team, of which close to about 70% of the workforce is either in sales or in support. And these are the teams that can continue to work from home on a permanent basis. As a matter of fact, we're hiring for customer support and on our jobs portal on the website. We've made it very evident that this role is going to be a permanent work from home role. So we're looking at 70% straight away. In addition to that, we also have members of the tech team, the admin team, including the HR and certain members of the ops team that can still continue to work from home without the need to come to work. Now, the teams that are mandated to come to work would probably be those set of teams that handle physical application forms. For example, a lot of clients still send us physical application forms to open Demat accounts with us. Or there are smaller teams within the ops team that handle dematerialization of securities. So you as a client would want to dematerialize physical shares that you're holding. Now, those are things that you can't do while you're at home. So those teams may be mandated to come to work once things get better. And also the market regulator, SEBI, has put in rules that dealer terminals can operate only from corporate office, head office, or a branch office. So a dealer terminal is essentially a trading platform on which you can place orders for other clients. So members of the risk management and surveillance team who handle dealer terminals, they will also be required to come to the office once things ease up. SEBI has given us certain considerations on that front today, but yeah, once things get better, they're required to come to the office. So I would say less than 15% of the workforce will probably be mandated to come to work. But even for the ones who are working from home, so we've allowed a hybrid kind of a model for someone who is not very doesn't find working from home very conducive and feels the need to come to the office. We have a 400 plus 400 seater office in Bangalore, so they're free to come down to the office and work anytime. And for employees working outside Bangalore, we're thinking we'll tie up with co-working spaces and maybe get them to go sit there and work if they wish to.
Could you just talk about the whole thought process of letting people move out of bigger cities into smaller towns, etc., and how you all feel that could actually help in India's growth?
So we're a 1,000-member team, out of which close to about 800 people work from Bangalore. Now, if you look at the demographics, I think the average age of employees is between 26 and 28. Most of them are unmarried. So they've all come to Bangalore from smaller cities, some of them from outside the state as well. And the way it is right now is that these people have all gone back to their respective towns, villages, or districts and continue to work from there. We believe, and they're able to contribute as effectively as we are out of, sitting out in Bangalore. So in terms of that, I think just being with family, I think helps the employees' morale as well. In addition to that, I think just being able to operate from smaller cities and smaller towns, they get to spend more money, the infra gets better there. So all of that, I think, will in a way contribute. The way the cities are choking today, I mean, for me to get to work on a bike takes me like 45 minutes, right? I mean, so if people get dispersed, go to smaller cities, and the infra in these cities is up to mark, I think cities are going to get better, and smaller towns and districts will also develop.
Traditionally, stock markets and coverage of that or ancillary businesses were thought to be more physical, having more people together in an office or physical setting. Things have evolved over time, and we have seen this take place gradually. But now, does this mean that you could have distributed or decentralized setting even for this industry going forward? And this question goes beyond the SEBI regulations, of course, because like you said, there are certain regulations that would sort of mandate that you have certain operations from a physical office.
I mean, life is full of surprises, right? I mean, last year or the year before, if you told us that we could all be sitting in our homes and be working and contributing as efficiently as we would while we are at work, I don't think any of us would have believed that. I was jealous of my wife who would get work from home. She could just wake up one day and say, I don't want to go to the office, let me work from home. So that flexibility never existed for the broking business. So COVID has taught us many things, including the fact that we can all work from home and contribute as effectively. During the pandemic, we've added crazy number of clients. We've almost doubled or tripled our client base in the last 15 or 18 odd months. And to support this increased client base, we've had to up our infra a couple of times. And these are very critical tasks. And we've managed to do all of this so effectively without things breaking up, of course, touch wood. So we've been able to accomplish so much while continuing to work from home. So I see no reason why decentralization is not applicable to this industry.
Hanan, if I could get a sense from you about processes and preparations have to be put in place to ensure seamless communication, etc., in such a fast-paced environment as yours, where comms have to be synchronous.
There are synchronous, asynchronous, both types of communications, and for us, more often than not, it is synchronous. And for that, we have, so what we do is we have these core groups within that particular function. So if I have a function which is, say, customer support, you have a set of people who handle teams, you have a set of people who handle, say, the lines, a set of people who handle something else and something else and something else. They all have their small little groups. They all interact in those silos or in those groups within their teams, and these are mostly chats, and there could be a group video call. So these are the ways that team is at a conversational level, not necessarily, like just ping somebody and get a response. They're almost at a conversational level, because you get onto that particular group, you either add that person to that group, or the group is already, it's an existing group. So within that group, you have your conversations, you can make them real time, you can decide to message someone and get that person to respond at a later time, or mark that person on that particular conversation saying that, what, can you just check on this and get back to me? And so there you are at that moment giving that person the opportunity to take time on that task. And then there are these times when you say, let's get on a call, and you have that particular group, or if you want to add somebody else to that, you get on that call and you discuss that particular issue, and then you update. I personally think this works really well. Yes, there are gaps, and so we have asynchronous stuff also existing, which is basically we have an entire employee portal, which is like your, it's like discourse format. You have you post a topic and people discuss on the topic. You post the first comment or whatever information of the topic, and somebody else could comment on it, or you could like it. And if you have an update about that similar topic, you can come back and update. 6 months later, you can come back and update. 2 days later, you can come back and update. 1 minute later. So that is for asynchronous communication, and that's going on. 6 months or more ago, 8 months ago, we got started with the first change which was going to happen, and then that was already posted. And then when the second change happened, you go and post it. Now there's a third change which is due, again you go post on that thread. So you're already giving life to that thread in terms of going through the whole chain of events for that particular thing. And for real time, you have phone calls, you have these video calls, and you have this, you have these chats which go on. And so people choose depending on what they need. And we're learning. I think no MBA book, no school, nobody has written about how you run a business which is completely online, and people are not going to be seeing each other. You may not even meet this person when you hire him. So there have been stories of these happening, and these are very small teams, and they all do mostly like stuff like one guy codes a certain thing and he commits it, and somebody else does a certain thing. Or even if you're making a project of like, you create a video or you create something else. So that this person has this particular task, he completes, he uploads it, and then you take it and you do what you have to do. That can get done. But running an entire business, coordinating with teams, like having all these things working, I think we are learning, and we are finding the best possible ways to communicate. Low burn. We don't want to tire our employees out. At the same time, we don't want to drop any balls, and make sure that things are going at the pace we want them to go, and communications are in sync. The balance, we're trying to find that balance, but I think it's working well for us.
Venu, I'd also like you to talk a little bit about security concerns around these new workplace models, and building trust, especially in a scenario where you may not, as you mentioned, have met many of your team members.
Now, fintech has been the flavor of the season for quite a few seasons now. The kind of limelight that this industry is attracting also means that it's more prone to cyber attacks, because a couple of years back, brokerage business was very dull. It's the hot topic in today, right? So we've also had instances where a few of the fintech firms have been prone to cyber attacks. So as far as cybersecurity is concerned, what we've done is over 75% of all the employees in the office use a Linux-based system. I'm no cyber expert, but I I believe that Linux is a far superior system, compared to Windows as far as safety is concerned. We've also adopted a zero trust security model, which means that anyone trying to access any of the applications within Zerodha will have to do so by logging into their corporate email account, which is again backed by 2FA. And on these applications, is given role-based granular access. So even if you have access to a particular application, you may not have access to the application in its entirety. You only have access to whatever whatever your work requires you to have. And there are other balances and checks in place. For example, the CMR system that we have that allows an agent to query information of a client only if a grievance has been raised by the client in form of a ticket or by way of a call. So an agent of mine can't query and get information of any client that he pleases. So it's only if there's a relevant underlying ticket or a call from the client is when the agent can actually access that information. So these are a few of the things, other than, of course, keeping a log of who's accessing the server and all of that. So these are few things that we've done on the security concern side. Now, yes, you said, we've been hiring people who we've not met before. One of the things that we've changed in the way we hire is earlier we were hiring a lot of freshers, people who just graduated out of college, because it was then easier for us to, train them, physically get them to be in a training space. And then, we would run a proper training program for them, which would last between 20 and 30 days. Now, in the absence of being able to physically train people, I think we've shifted the way in which we hire people. We're now hiring people who have a little bit of exposure and who know a little bit of the markets. And other than that, we have team building activities where smaller teams interact with each other on a weekly basis. They have like a 45 minutes or a 1 hour call on a Friday evening when things are looking a little easy of sorts. And on these calls, more than just work gets discussed. There's a little bit of banter, a little bit of fun time, breaking the ice kind of thing, where people sort of familiarize themselves with each other. So these are things that basically help.
And once things do get a little better, Venu, would you be looking to take some of these relationship building or chemistry building exercises to offline touch points as well?
So we intended to do that. We wanted to have like a mega catch up this August. August is when our year actually ends. So we wanted to have a mega catch up of sorts this August, but the way things are going, it's very unlikely to happen. We're confined to our homes and we have to do best with whatever resources are available. So for now, we try and have these small little contests, where we send out questions and people, whoever responds first gets a certain reward, stuff like that.
Venu, this is something I ask all leaders. It's not an easy task to balance growth/output and employees' well-being. How do you find that balance at Zerodha?
There's a saying, right? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy or Jill a dull girl. As a business, we're a big proponent of inculcating and driving the right set of values, not just work-wise, but being physically fit, being mentally fit as well. I don't know if you saw Nitin's post on LinkedIn. He posted like Hulk. I think that sort of blew up LinkedIn. So that's a testimony to the fact that this flows right from the top. So we're very conscious about the mental well-being and the physical well-being of our employees. We've done a few interesting things on that aspect as well. So earlier this year, in the month of January, we asked people to set physical goals. Goals could be something like, running 10 kilometers in less than 60 minutes, or being able to do 100 push-ups, or reducing the BMI to a certain number. And we allowed people to track these physical goals throughout the year by taking input from them as to where they stand. So in August, anyone who has accomplished their goals, we're going to have a lottery of sorts, and winners are going to get rewarded. In addition to that, we've tied up with this company called I Am Strong. because we believe in addition to being physically fit, it's also important to be in a good headspace with everything that's happening around now. It's very easy to get bogged down. It's not necessary that you be affected by COVID. Just seeing friends and family suffering and just the general state of things, it puts you in a very wrong kind of a headspace. So we've tied up with I Am Strong, who's offering daily yoga and pranayama lessons at 7 o'clock. This is open for everyone. So anyone who wants to take it up is free to do that. What we've also done is we've tied up with India's largest mental health care service provider, who've been kind enough to open a separate line for us, so an employee can just pick up the phone line and then speak to a counselor on call. So the service is available at no cost to the employee and to the dependents of the employee as well. So yeah, I mean, it's extremely important to be in a good state of mind and being physically fit as well, because that is what ultimately translates to how you perform, in your general course of work.
What you're saying basically is that one complements the other. If your
Absolutely.
mind and body is taken care of, you will by default be more productive and
Absolutely.
contribute to the company's growth and output, etc.
Yeah, maybe it's the all-round development of an individual that actually, so you do well physically and mentally, it translates into you being effective while you're at work as well. So I think it's all interconnected. So yeah.
Hanan, another question that I always ask without fail is that at the end of the day, leaders are just as human as anyone else. And in these times, they would feel just as vulnerable and anxious. Now, how can one find some peace and calm amidst balancing personal anxieties and those of the team?
I won't give an obvious solution, but I think a lot of people, the personal hacks which have worked for me are exercise, meditate. Some people, for meditating, they would need additives to figure out how to meditate. But I think eventually, if you are able to get that calm within yourself by either exerting some activity or any other means, and if you can achieve that level and achieve it on a daily basis, it makes everything else manageable, because you can achieve that calm place. It's possible to get there. Otherwise, you don't know that it's possible to get there. So you need to be in a position to identify those particular moments and sometimes direct yourself to get to that feeling, because it's important. It can be, like Venu was saying, there are so many things that are happening in this right now that it's all very, you can get overwhelmed with it and you won't know what needs to be done, which is why I think exercise or whatever other pleasurable activities that you would like to do, but for which you have to work. It's not like just eating a cake or something, but some kind of activity which would, like, even say gardening or whatever it is that gives you some sense of accomplishment, and you try and get yourself to that zen place on a regular basis. It helps. Another thing which I personally believe is we educate everybody in our organization to do this. You have to be nice. It's just be nice to people around you, to people you're interacting with. And that could be your customer, that could be your family member while you're talking to your customer. It could be your customer while you're talking to your family member, or you are doing anything else. And that's the point that we try and stress upon. You be nice. As long as you make that effort, the result can be closer to positive as opposed to taking you to the negative side. So it's very hard to be nice, but you can fake it, and we encourage our people to do it, and it's nice. So once you start doing more of that, it becomes easier to deal with difficulties in life. And I don't think so there are, or maybe life has not given us such big challenges yet where we can find some form of solace in what's available around us as opposed to going and looking for it anywhere else. And I think few of us are lucky enough to get that.
I think that's a wonderful note to end on. That be nice, and if you're struggling with it, then fake it till you make it. Okay, Hanan and Venu, it's been a pleasure chatting with you both. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining.
Thanks. Thanks, Marco.
Thanks, Ramako. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.